Greetings, my dear creatures, and welcome. The Raptor has found itself today inside of an ocean temple that we shall be exploring here together. Now, this map is entirely exploration focused. There's no combat, there's not even any gameplay per se. There's just nice things for us to look at, and that is precisely what we shall be doing. I am a huge fan of underwater settings, and in addition to that, I really like temples of any sort, and that is one of the reasons that I personally always liked the Tomb Raider games, especially the first, I believe, 4 that were on the PlayStation 1. And already, this is how the map starts, and already there is so much here to see, and it's impressive how much this mapper has done already. I mean, most of this appears to be custom-made. I don't believe anything like this already exists in Half-Life. Perhaps they have used some sort of pre-made assets that they found somewhere, but either way, whatever they did a fantastic job with it. Like you can see, we have started here, and immediately you see these lovely bird statues here that are standing or holding these 2 differently colored baubles. One is red and the other is blue. Now, I wonder what that could mean in the context of this temple. Of course, temples typically have a lot of the things that you find within a temple will have some sort of function or symbolism. Alright, we see up here some sort of mosaics on the ceiling here. We hear the water dripping down from these little waterfalls that are emanating from these fish faces here on the wall. And I also have to say that this was made roughly 20 years ago, before concepts such as the pool rooms were really common, and so I find this interesting in that sense, as this is, in a sense, a pool room, just a very, very fancy one. Now we can see here on the ceiling what appears to be some sort of myth, is what I am guessing this will be. You can see here, all of them are related to in some way, to the ocean and to water. You can see somebody here riding what appears to be a horse along the beach, with waves in the background, quite high waves in the background actually. Then the next one here appears to show somebody once again on a horse with an axe in their hand and what appears to be some sort of water spirit that they are fighting here. Then the next one, quite clearly, has an orca. Alright, let us not fall into the water. Has an orca here. So there is some sort of orca attack going on, and it is a rather large orca. Unfortunately, there's no human here or anything else to give a good sense of scale, but it appears that in the background might be a ship that they have destroyed. Then here, interestingly enough, we see some sort of warrior with an axe and very long hair, and they appear to be standing what looks as though it might be polar bears, which is a rather interesting thing. I'm not entirely certain. Now, of course, again, this was made a long while ago, so these aren't AI generated. That somebody drew these things, and somebody must have had some sort of. There must be some sort of point for their having been drawn this way. And then the next one here, again, we see some sort of sea serpent now in this case, I believe, and somebody in a lone vessel riding on the waves, and somebody, I believe, who might drown because those waves and that ship, I don't believe, will go together all that well. And then the last one, again, this one does not look as though it is a sea serpent, simply because it has a strange green color, but I believe it also has to be some sort of serpent or water creature or water spirit that is being fought here. So this is either one myth here that is being shown, perhaps it is in reverence to the god for whom this temple was built. Perhaps this is the story of what this god did on Earth, which reminds me quite a lot of the Greek myths, where the gods at some point still walked the Earth and did things. And so I'm assuming that this might be similar in that respect. So I'm assuming that this is a god, or perhaps several gods who are worshipped here in this water temple, and these are some of their deeds and some of the monsters that they fought back in the days of yore, when the gods still walked amongst us. And so that is what I believe is happening here. The color scheme is very well done, I must say. Of course, when you think of water, typically you think of bluish things, and I believe that they have done a fantastic job here at capturing this bluish color that you want for water. And it's not just any blue. For example, here you can see this almost domed roof has almost a turquoise color to it. So they're using various different colors, but they're all quite complementary in my opinion. And of course then you have the red of the torches here, and then the water itself is this rather lightish blue compared to the darker blue of the ceiling here. And then of course the gold here of the fishes, it's very well done. And then you have what appears to be some marble here on the walls. The floors look as though they might be a little bit broken, as you can see. It appears as though there's some cracks in the floors, and there's some dirt here. So this must be a temple that's been around for quite a while, which, if you look at these pillars, they look as though they have things growing on them. So that does also indicate that this is a temple that has been around for a while, and perhaps one that is slowly falling into disrepair. Of course, it doesn't look dirty at all, so I'm assuming if it has fallen into disrepair, it has not been too long. But it does look as though perhaps it has not been. It has seen better days, although it's not dirty at all. And this could also just be a sign of its tremendous age, because of course, if you have the original pillars here from maybe thousands of years ago, you can't really keep them all that clean over the course of, 1,000 years. Well, this is somewhat disconcerting. We have here what appears to be some sort of offering table. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, of course, you can see there is blood on here, and the statue here, with its eyes lit up, is emanating a strange sound, and it is holding a rather large longsword. And there is some sort of strange energy moving around the handle of the sword, so we shall take a look at that in a moment. I am worried that we shall sacrifice ourselves. And of course the blood here looks still rather fresh. It's quite red in colour. I believe once blood has dried out, it would have turned a bit more brownish in colour, so this appears to be new. Once again, this is some sort of painting here again. We have a lot of naked people, as it appears on here. Well, you can barely tell, however. And a fire going on in the background. And, once again, these look very much like Renaissance paintings. So these must be a bit newer. So I believe, I'm not sure where these paintings here are from, but these very much look like, I am not entirely certain about the correct time period, but I would say perhaps Renaissance paintings. When I see this, I'm thinking maybe 14 to 1600s at the latest is my guess. Alright. So there is a little pedestal here that has some water in it. And a skull. And then the sword, which is emanating this sort of strange sound. I'm assuming I cannot pick this up, no. So this appears to be, perhaps, the god to whom this temple is dedicated. And he does appear to be rather powerful. As you can see, he is emanating some sort of power from him, and... Oh, wow, that is intriguing. As you can see here, when we click the top of the sword, it actually stops these little effects here from moving, which is interesting. So, but yeah, you can see that the handle is glowing, and not only that, the eyes of the god themselves are also glowing. So this is a very interesting little temple here. This could be... Of course, this was a rather small map here that I simply wanted to showcase because I believe the mapper has done an outstanding job at making this look very inviting in various ways. This is a map, once again, I am drawn towards maps that I am able to look at and sit around in for a while. And I really like this map. Of course, this is a very short map, and the main thing about this map is looking around and taking in the mapper's fantastic work, and they have done a fantastic work. And if this was an actual game map, I can already see so many different ways of making this area fun with puzzles. You know, these birds here, they are standing on some sort of round base. They have these two differently colored baubles that they are holding onto. I can already see how perhaps you have to give them something, or you have to activate them in the correct order so that they face something, or perhaps you have to activate them and then they shoot some sort of ancient laser to a specific location, so that you have to turn them and align the laser with some sort of target here. I mean, the obvious target would be something here. You can see these two fishes in there. That would be an obvious target. And, oh, I didn't even see the mosaic here underwater. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. A large round mosaic here at the end of this pool. So that, I feel like that would be a very fun gameplay mechanic. Of course, another thing that you could do here is it might be a place where you get a really powerful sword, so you can try to take the sword of this god, but you anger him, unfortunately, and then you have to fight his ghost or something of the sort, and only once you defeat the ghost of the god, he will be like, "You have passed my trial. I shall grant you the power of this sword," or perhaps some sort of blessing that you receive here. So, while there is no gameplay here yet, and while I assume the mapper did not intend for there to ever be any, I feel as though it would be quite easy to actually put some gameplay into here as part of a larger game. So that has been very interesting. I really thoroughly enjoyed the architecture in here, and it is pure eye candy for me. Even if it is just walking around an admittedly rather small room, it has been very fun just spending time in here and taking in the atmosphere. Thank you very much for watching. This was just a small little, rather calm video after a long recording session where we were playing aboard a spaceship. And that is a video that will come out in the near future, so if you are interested in seeing the Raptor explore a spaceship, I would recommend that you stay tuned and come back in a while, or that you subscribe to never miss any of my videos. I typically upload every Monday, but at times, such as today, there might be a random surprise video about some small map that I found that I simply wanted to showcase because I believe as though the mapper deserves some credit. This was made for a water competition by mapper Elon. There is a link for the map in the description, and I hope you check it out for yourself, and I would be delighted if anybody here would take this map and its ideas and turn it into an actual game or an actual map or mod for Half-Life. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.